What began as crude experiments in Imperial Russia gradually evolved into a powerful Soviet tank legacy, forged through war, revolution, and industrialization before continuing to advance in modern-day Russia. This is a journey spanning more than a century of Russian and Soviet tank development, from the bold and unconventional designs of the First World War through the machines that shaped the battlefields of World War II to the high-technology armored vehicles of the 21st century. And this story begins in Imperial Russia with a visionary idea known as Vezdehod, the vehicle that could go anywhere. Vezdehod was not a complete tank in the modern sense, but rather a technical question posed far ahead of its time. When warfare was still dominated by infantry and towed artillery, Russian engineers sought to create a machine capable of crossing mud, deep snow, and broken terrain, environments where conventional wheeled vehicles were completely ineffective. The use of a large rubber track demonstrated an early understanding of the importance of off-road mobility. However, limitations in materials and engine technology made Vezdehod unstable and impractical for real deployment. Despite its failure, it laid the intellectual foundation for the idea that future wars would be decided by machines and mechanization rather than manpower alone. The Tsar tank became a symbol of the early mechanized belief that bigger meant stronger. With two enormous front wheels nearly 9 meters tall, the design was expected to crush trenches and overwhelm infantry simply through sheer size. Reality proved very different. During its first trial, the small rear wheel sank into the mud, immobilizing the entire vehicle. The Tsar tank failed due to poor weight distribution and a complete lack of mobility, leaving behind a crucial lesson. Size and mass offer no advantage without balance and maneuverability on the battlefield. The Mendeleev Landship was the most ambitious Imperial Russian project, envisioning a mobile fortress with heavy armor and naval-scale artillery capable of smashing through enemy defensive lines. It reflected an attempt to apply naval warfare logic directly to land combat. Yet its immense weight, lack of a suitable engine, and inadequate infrastructure made construction impossible. Though it never left the drawing board, Mendeleev's ideas profoundly influenced later Soviet heavy tank concepts, particularly the doctrine of breaking defenses through overwhelming firepower. The Russian Renault was an almost direct copy of the French Renault FT. While lacking originality, it played a vital role by proving that the young Soviet state could manufacture tanks domestically and begin building an independent military-industrial base from nearly nothing. The T-28 MS-1 was the first tank designed and mass-produced by the Soviet Union. Small, simple, and lightly armed, it nonetheless served a critical role in training and equipping the Red Army's early armored forces, laying the human foundation for future tank development. The T-12 represented the Soviet Union's first attempt to develop a medium tank. Its crude design and poor mechanical reliability prevented it from progressing beyond the prototype stage. Still, the T-12 highlighted the challenges of balancing firepower, armor, and mobility on a medium chassis. The T-24, an improved version of the T-12, featured a dual turret layout intended to increase firepower. However, its complex structure caused persistent mechanical problems and operational difficulties, limiting production to only a few units. Its failure convinced Soviet engineers to abandon multi-turret medium tank designs in favor of simpler, more effective solutions. The T-26 was a very light tank developed for reconnaissance and mobility. Compact and inexpensive, it lacked a rotating turret and had an extremely cramped fighting compartment, making it ineffective in direct combat. Its low cost and ease of production allowed deployment in large numbers, where it primarily served in reconnaissance, patrol, and rear area infantry support roles. The T-26 became the most important Soviet light tank of the 1930s and the backbone of the Red Army's armored forces before World War II. Mass-produced and continuously refined, it saw combat in the Spanish Civil War, the Far East, and along the Mongolian border. These experiences provided invaluable lessons in armored warfare and combined arms operations ahead of the coming global conflict. The BT-2 was the Soviet Union's first true high-speed tank, marking a decisive shift toward maneuver warfare. Using the Christie suspension, it could operate on tracks or remove them to drive on wheels at high speed. However, it remained mechanically unreliable and lightly armed, serving primarily as a testbed for a new doctrine rather than a finished combat vehicle. The BT-5 represented a significant improvement, featuring an upgraded turret and a powerful 45mm gun capable of defeating most light tanks of its era. Retaining exceptional speed and mobility, it demonstrated that speed only becomes meaningful when paired with sufficient firepower. The BT-7 was the most refined and successful variant of the BT series. With stronger engine, improved armor, and greater reliability, it fully embodied the principle that speed equaled survival. Yet combat experience revealed that speed alone was insufficient, pushing Soviet designers to search for a more balanced design, a search that would soon lead to the T-34. The T-28 was an early Soviet attempt to create a breakthrough tank capable of smashing fortified defenses. Equipped with 3 independent turrets, it offered firepower in multiple directions, particularly effective in infantry support. In practice, its complex design made it cumbersome, difficult to command, and mechanically unreliable. The T-35 was the ultimate expression of the multi-turret concept, carrying up to 5 turrets and immense firepower. Intended as a land battleship, it proved excessively tall, heavy, and nearly impossible to coordinate in real combat. Its complexity quickly became a fatal weakness. The SMK was a heavy multi-turret tank developed to replace the T-35. Although more heavily armored, it proved slow, unreliable, and poorly suited to maneuver warfare during the Winter War with Finland. The T-100, developed alongside the SMK, suffered from similar problems. Both vehicles confirmed a decisive conclusion for Soviet designers. A single well-armed turret was far more effective than multiple turrets. The KV-1 shocked the battlefield in 1941 with armor so thick that early German anti-tank weapons could barely penetrate it. In several engagements, KV-1 tanks halted entire enemy units, forcing Germany to rapidly develop stronger anti-tank solutions. The KV-2, a specialized variant, carried a massive 152mm howitzer designed to destroy bunkers and fortified positions. Each shot delivered devastating destructive power, though its large size and slow speed made it vulnerable if unsupported. The T-34 fundamentally transformed armored warfare. Sloped armor improved protection without excessive weight, while strong firepower, wide tracks, and high reliability allowed it to perform in all terrain and climates. Most importantly, it achieved an unprecedented balance of mobility, firepower, and protection, forcing the world to rewrite tank design doctrine after World War II. The T-54 was the first true Soviet main battle tank of the post-war era, laying the foundation for armored power during the early Cold War. Balanced, reliable, and easy to mass-produce, it set the standard for Soviet tank design worldwide. The T-55, an evolution of the T-54, introduced protection against nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons, reflecting preparation for total war. Reliable and easy to maintain, it became one of the most widely used tanks in history, appearing in conflicts across Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. The T-62 marked a major breakthrough as the first mass-produced tank equipped with a smooth-bore gun, significantly improving armor penetration against new Western designs. The T-64 was a revolutionary leap, introducing composite armor, an autoloader, and a three-man crew. Though complex and expensive, it placed the Soviet Union years ahead of Western tank technology and served as the technological foundation for future designs. The T-72 was developed as a more practical alternative to the T-64, prioritizing durability, affordability, and mass production. Its reliability made it the backbone of Soviet and Allied armored forces worldwide. The T-80 became the world's first main battle tank powered by a gas turbine engine, offering rapid acceleration and excellent performance in cold climates. It was reserved for elite frontline units despite high operating costs. The T-90 emerged in the post-Soviet era as a continuation of the proven T-72 platform, incorporating improved electronics, sensors, and protection while maintaining affordability and reliability. The T-90M represents a deep modernization featuring modular armor, enhanced firepower, and a modern fire control system, making it the most advanced main battle tank currently in Russian service. Object 640 Black Eagle introduced a new survivability concept by separating the ammunition compartment from the crew, influencing future safety-focused designs despite never entering production. Finally, the T-14 Armata represents a fundamental shift in armored warfare philosophy. With an unmanned turret, an armored crew capsule, and advanced active protection systems, Armata prioritizes crew survival and integration within future network-centric warfare, not just as a tank, but as a next-generation combat platform.